It's that time of year in Daytona Beach, Florida. They call it Speed Weeks. We call it Fast. Next on USA Sports. Hang on. International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. USA Sports, in association with CBS Sports, presents the Daytona Twin 125s. Today's racing is brought to you by Mobil 1, the official oil of the 1984 Winter Olympics. By Levi's, jeans, cords, and shirts for quality and style you can count on. And by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. Weather conditions absolutely ideal today for just about everything, and that's just fine because here in Daytona Beach, Florida, racing is everything. Hi everybody, I'm Al Troutwig for USA Sports. It's quite a famous highway behind me. No radar, only one exit ramp, and of course no speed limit. And that's why there may be some butterflies in the cars that are assembling behind me on pit road here at this famous tri-oval. You know the Daytona 500 is on Sunday, but for so many of the drivers, this really is the crucial day. In the Twin 125s we'll see tonight on USA, they'll have to qualify for the Daytona 500. And this, the climax of this annual two-week celebration of speed, Speed Weeks here in Daytona Beach, Florida. And what speed they reached here this week. The qualifying speeds of some of the drivers, over 200 miles an hour. It's the third year we've been here with CBS Sports, and I'm sure you've seen some of the dramatic television pictures they've brought your way from this racetrack. And now to get us started, I send you to Ken Squire of CBS Sports.
Thank you, Al Troutwig. Down below us, 36 cars are preparing for the first of the Twin 125-mile qualifying races today. Just 50 laps, approximately 30 minutes to further decide the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. And for just a moment, let's talk about what this race means. Going into these Twin 125-mile races today, only two starting positions have been assured for Sunday's 500. That's the pole, Cale Yarborough, and outside of the front row, Terry Labonte. Now, the finishing order in these two races determines the starting positions 3 through 30. The top 14 finishers in each race, exclusive of that front row, already in the Daytona 500, will fill out rows 2 through 15. The final 10 starting birds, the last 5 rows, will be decided by time trials, the fastest 10, not counting what's happened in the 125-mile qualifying races today, or those gentlemen on the front row. Working with us once again here for the Daytona 500 from Upper Boddington, England, a veteran of this race and the Trans Am champion of 1983, David Hobbs. In a word, these races today.
Well, I think the word's got to be tension, Ken, because as you've already said, only 14 out of the 36 guys are going to get in these races, definitely. And 30 cars tonight are going to pack up and go home. And some of these guys have come a long way and spent a lot of money so far. So there's going to be a lot of jostling for those 14 positions. And already we have a feeling amongst some of the top cars that there's a lot of slow traffic out here this year. The top guys are all going so fast that it's going to be a pretty hair-raising experience anyway. So these 125 milers, as usual, are going to be very, very traumatic and tension-filled races.
The man on the pole for the Daytona 500 has to start the 125-mile qualifier. He qualified at a record 201.8 miles per hour, and standing by with him now is two-time Grand National champion and our CBS colleague, Ned Jarrett.
Ken, the defending champion of the Daytona 500, fastest man on wheels here at Daytona, over 201 miles an hour. Now, Cale, that record qualifies you for the Daytona 500. You don't really have to run this 125-mile qualifying race. What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to run it, Ned. I feel like that we can take this 125 miles and figure out what we need to do for the 500. So we aren't going to just go out and start and pull in. You know, it's one of the races that we came down here to win, so we're going to give it our best shot.
Pretty good money there, too.
Right. Makes a big difference when it pays good, so I feel like it's just one of the races out of the series that we're going to run this year, and we're going to do our best.
Money still motivates Cale Yarborough?
No doubt about it. That's the name of the game.
Well, Ken, he said it all right there.
In our continuing effort to enhance our CBS coverage of motorsports, we have a new edition here at Daytona for 1984. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome the Dean of American Racecasters on pit road. Here is Chris Economaki.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. And I'm with Neil Bonnet, a man who, when it comes to short races at the Daytona International Speedway, is really on a roll. Last year, he won the Busch Clash and $50,000, and then the 125-mile race. And this year, he's repeated in the Busch Class. Neil, attacking a 125-mile race, is it different than a 500, and if so, in what way?
Well, we virtually got the car ready to go the 125 miles without any changes on it. A sprint race like this, we're not going to be able to make a lot of adjustments on the car. Hopefully the thing is pretty close, and we're just going to have to make a mad run for the flag.
Neil, there's very few two-car teams in stock car racing. We know you want to beat your rivals, but what about your teammate? How important is it to beat number 11?
Well, right now we're concerned about getting car 11 and car 12 winning races. Fortunately enough, we're in separate races today. Hopefully I can win this one or make a good run at it, and Darrell will have a good day also.
Okie doke. That's it from Neil Bonnet, and back to Ken Squire up top.
Neil Bonnet ready to start in the 4th position outside of the 2nd row. Down there in the front row, getting ready for a go, it's Cale Yarborough and the Silver Fox, David Pearson. We'll be back to look at the starting lineup for the first of the twin 125s right after this. The twin 125-mile qualifying races for this Sunday, February 19th, $1 million Great American Race, the Daytona 500. The field, 36 strong, rolling out. Cale Yarborough on the pole. Beside him is David Pearson. And here is your starting lineup. Remember, 14 cars will advance to the Daytona 500. For the rest, it's on the trailer and home following this day. 2 125-mile races. Cale Yarborough and David Pearson sequestered in row number 1. Row 2, the winner at Riverside, California in the last race of 1983, Bill Elliott of Georgia, and Neil Bonnet, winner of the World 600 for the last 2 years. The all-time Indianapolis champion, A.J. Foyt, is in row 3, and the winner of the fastest 500-mile race in history, Buddy Baker, is beside him. Then in row 4, it's California's Joe Ruttman, who's had a 3rd and a 4th here in the last 2 years. And beside him is the ASA champion from last year, Rusty Wallace, who crashed in this race hard just a year back. Looking at row 5, Jody Ridley and Ken Reagan are there. And in row 6, it's Ronnie Thomas and Dave Marcus with a new ride, number 75, the Raymock car. Going to row 7, Steve Moore and Dean Roper, 3-time USAC champion back there. In row 8, it's Kyle Petty. What a story about the Petty family. He now takes control of Petty Engineering as he rolls out for this 125-mile qualifier. And beside him, a youngster that's been up to 200 miles an hour, had that terrible crash at Talladega a year ago, but has been running extremely fast here, Phil Parsons, the brother of Benny Parsons. Going to row 9, Jeff Bodine with a brand new ride. He's driving for Harry Hyde in car number 5, and beside him, the all-time Midwest champion, Dick Trickle, car number 42. In row 10, it's Ronnie Sanders and Dean Combs, who's driven so many of the international sedan races and won. Then in row number 11, Randy Baker. This is the half-brother of Buddy Baker, the son of Buck Baker, starting on the inside of row 11. Beside him is Phil Duffy. In row 12, it's Jerry Bowman and Wayne Peterson. Going to row 13, Trevor Boyce, runner-up for Rookie of the Year a year ago, and Jack Ingram. Now, that's a backup car for Neil Bonnet out here today, this number 92, a backup to the 12, as they try to make sure they have that racing team in the field, and the former national sportsman champion of NASCAR has that assignment. In row 14, it's Doug Heffernan from up in the state of New York, and Jimmy Smut-Means out of the state of Alabama on the outside of row 14. In the 15th row, Jimmy Sauter out of Wisconsin, father of 11 children, many times Midwestern champion, and Ramo Stott is back from Keokuk, Iowa, the chief from Keokuk in row 15. Row 16 is Bobby Wowak of Villa Park, Illinois, and Laurent Rioux from Montreal is in row 16. Row 17 is Giacomo Giacomo and Farrell Harris, who won the ARCA 200 a year back. In row 18, Lowell Cowell and Nance Peters winds out the field for this 50-lap, 125-mile qualifying go. More from Daytona as we prepare for the start. Half-mile Daytona International Speedway. Again, 36 cars. Let's take a condition report right now. We have temperature at 70 degrees, humidity at 55. Track temperature is considerably higher today, around 90 degrees, David.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they've got no wind at all hardly. They just a very light breeze out of the southeast, which shouldn't upset these cars around this track, unlike we saw last Sunday during the clash.
Now there you see Cale Yarborough. You take a look at his race record. He averaged 183 miles an hour in winning this event in 1970. That record has stood a long time. There will be one pit stop in this race. One pit stop in a 125-mile distance. Here they are, coming down out of turn number 4, off the 31-degree banking. Yarborough has to start. He does not have to run it because he won the pole on pole position day this past Sunday. Pace car ducks in. Field ready. Mammoth crowd for the twin 125-mile qualifying races at Daytona. Congregated, watching as down the line comes Yarborough leading the field. Off the point, trying to go out in front of an old adversary, the Silver Fox, winner of 105 Grand National races in the 1976 Daytona 500. That's David Pearson on the outside. Car number 31, that's Reagan in the pit, rather, that's number 31 Saunders in the pits already. Ronnie Saunders, first car in. Back straightaway. Yarborough in front. 50 laps. David Pearson, line second. Shuffling out back, David.
There's going to be a lot of shuffling going on for the next 125 miles because there's some quite fast cars well down on the grid here, including Phil Parsons, Benny's brother, who started off about halfway down. He's got to do better than this race.
Elliott's in third. Bonnet is in fourth. Baker is in fifth as they complete 1:49 to go. Remember, the bubble here, 14th or 15th position. In this case, 15th. With Cale Yarborough out there, and look at the speed as they come down the back straightaway.
And Cale Yarborough seems to have pulled a bit away from the pack there. David Pearson hanging on to second place now, being really pushed hard by Bill Elliott at the ball.
Harry Renier car, Waddell Wilson prepared. It's been the fastest car here the last 6 years, but was not on the pole last year when Yarborough tipped over right there on the track in qualifying. Cale Yarborough, three-time winner of the Daytona 500, defending champion, across the line.
And pulling away from that second train.
Up into the sixth position moves Joe Ruttman. Ruttman now running in sixth with car number 98. The Dr. Benfield car. There's the top three out of turn two. And look at the incredible horsepower now looking further back in the field. And that would appear to be the Ingram car beginning to unloosen some laps out there. Rusty Wallace is in the 88 as they hurdle down the back straightaway. And there goes Kyle Petty in his Ford trying to ramble through, and Ken Reagan on the outside.
Ken Reagan, not a very familiar name down here. He's been here once before, I think, but he qualified extremely well.
Leaders completing 2 laps. Yarborough now drawing to a 15-car length advantage. A.J. Foyt is in 6th. Jody Ridley is in 7th. And Kyle Petty is taken over in 8th. That number 7 car that you saw, Kyle Petty, is on a roll. He is moving up into the 8th position. In the 9th position right now is Rusty Wallace. Now there is Kyle Petty as he fights his way through.
We've also got a car smoking down towards the back of the pack. This going down the main back straightaway now. He may cause a caution flag, which would be too early for these guys to come in for fuel at this stage.
Last lap, average speed 197 miles per hour. Leaders at 197 miles an hour in lap 3. Coming by to complete 4. Yarborough first, Elliott second, Ruttman up to third. Baker is in 4th. Neil Bonnet lines 5th. There is Waddell Wilson, the crew chief on the car that currently is in the lead. Number 28, Cale Yarborough. Sticking right there with him is Bill Elliott. That's Sanders back in the pits another time.
Yeah, his car was just smoking as he went down to the tribal here.
That unusual story, however, up in front, the perennial second-place runner, Bill Elliott, who finally turned it around and won at Riverside, California in the rain a year ago. The final race, the Winston Western 500, now finds himself in the 2nd spot. He's pulled up on the graph.
He's managed to pull up on Cale Yarborough, which is pretty good going, and they've both pulled away from Buddy Baker in number 21 and David Pearson at 12. There's Neil Bonnet running there in a good, strong 5th place, but he'd rather be near the front than that.
Ruttman remains in 6th. Ruttman holding on to 6th, and comes A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt may have his hands full shortly. Back straightaway. Leaders one more time. Elliott just waiting. Let's go to the pits and then Jerry.
Ken, we're standing by with Mike Beam, the crew chief on Kyle Petty's car. You mentioned he's coming up through the pack. Mike, are you pleased with the way he's running?
Oh, yeah, we knew that if we ever got in a race and it worked like it's supposed to, that we'll be okay.
have problems on the track. That's Ronnie Thomas, number 41, going down the back straightaway into 3, erupting an engine. Thomas in trouble, drops onto the apron. Caution comes out. Caution is out. First one of the day for Ronnie Thomas, former Rookie of the Year out of Christiansburg, Virginia. What a bad break for Thomas. So the field is under caution for the first time, with now 7 laps officially completed in the first of the 125-mile qualifiers at Daytona. Start coming up, and we'll watch it from the Goodyear blimp as they come around this 2.5-mile track. The Winston Tour for 1984 underway here at Daytona, then on to Richmond, Virginia the following Sunday and a half mile, then Rockingham, North Carolina. As 1984 bursts to glory right here out of the east end of the Speedway. Look at this magnificent shot before this great throng on a weekday afternoon at Daytona, coming down for the start. They're right at the start-finish line now, right below us. And they are away into turn number 1. And Joe Ruttman's in trouble, slowing way down. We heard a gigantic explosion as he came across the line, and Ruttman is way off the pace. What a bad break for Joe Ruttman. Meanwhile, the leaders are coming out of turn number 2. There's Ruttman down on the apron. Now, he had some very fast times in qualifying, so he might be blessed as one of those 10 drivers who get picked up after we've had these 125-mile qualifiers. Look at Bill Elliott. Hold on out there, Dave.
Bill Elliott's going jolly well, and right behind, of course, is Buddy Baker and the other 4. There you see them going over the bump on the exit of turn 4. Cale Yarborough, the only man to do 200 miles an hour here, still hanging on that front place.
It's David Pearson in the 4th position, Neil Bonnet in 5th, A.J. Foyt in 6th, and up to 7th, Kyle Petty.
And another smoker going out of the tri-oval there.
There you see Dave Marcus in number 75. He's being challenged on the inside, the Ironman, Jack Ingram. Where's that Jody Ridley pulling up through? And there is Ruttman, bottom of the racetrack, out of 2. We have still another car smoking some, car number 60, and that would be the Nance Peters car, which had started dead last on the field. Leaders coming by to complete 14 of 50 laps this time. Ruttman pulling off. Ruttman into the grass and off the track.
Joe Ruttman qualified at 195.7, so he's probably going to get in the field anyway, but it's still disappointing for him.
Neil Bonnet won his 125-mile qualifying race a year ago. He's running just outside of the top 3. Trouble in turn number 1. Car sliding at the bottom of the racetrack. Came down, collected it, goes on. Car number 38 sliding down the bottom. That was Ramo Stott of Keokuk, Iowa. Man who was on the pole at Talladega a few years ago. Like he had his hands full there. There you see the front 5. There's Pearson in 4th, Neil Bonnet back in 5th. Let's take a look again. He's at the bottom of the track, and he slides up off the apron. Wow.
I think he tried to make room, and he got too low and got on the flat part of the banking, or on no banking, and he was very lucky there not to go sliding up into the fast traffic again.
We have a smoker coming down onto pit road, and caution is on the track another time. Car number 87 coming onto pit road is Randy Baker from Charlotte, North Carolina, the son of Buck Baker, pulling in.
Now that is a smoker.
And it's brought out the second caution of the day.
It may be that Ramo Stott got caught out on some oil down there going into turn 1, but he did a jolly good job in not going right up into that traffic.
Randy Baker in only his 2nd race. There you see Herb Knapp standing there, pointing down at the car, crew chief on the machine. Baker coming out. This caution coming in the 15th lap. They will complete 16 this time by, and that is young Randy Baker, half-brother to Buddy Baker, son of Buck Baker, and there is Joe Garrett, number 98. And now the field is all coming on pit road. Leaders are in. Yarborough, Baker, Buddy Baker, David Pearson, A.J. Foyt, Dave Marcus, brother Mike Alexander, and here's Chris Economaki.
Right.
Well, Joe Ruttman's blown engine has knocked him out of the race, but that blown engine came at the right moment for refueling, and now pit road is the busiest part of this racetrack, as almost everyone's coming in, because the fuel they take now will get them to the checkered flag. Back down to Ned Jarrett.
Neil Bonnet just made his pit stop, so did Bill Elliott, and they only took on gasoline. A little surprising that maybe they didn't make any adjustments on the chassis. Apparently they didn't need them. The crew that's servicing Neil Bonnet is also waiting for Jack Ingram to come in the next time around, and they'll gas it up and make any adjustments that they might need to make on it.
Well, with the way those front group are going, the first 5 or 6 cars really don't look as if they need much adjusting. They're all going extremely fast when it's got a green course, averaging around about 197. So I can't imagine they'd be doing too many changes to the chassis.
Jack Ingram's car now in the lead. That is Jack Ingram, the old Iron Man, and that's the end of the day for Baker. Randy Baker eliminated from the event, and the attrition continues to develop here. Now there's another car that looks so similar to the cars of Darrell Waltrip and Neil Bonnet. This is a backup car just in case anything should happen today to Bonnet. They've got a reserve car in the race, and they would then stick Bonnet in this, what is called number 92.
But then apparently he'd have to stay with 92 for the rest of the year.
We'll be back with more from the Daytona International Speedway and the twin 125-mile qualifiers in a moment. Single file restart, away and running. Baker is now the leader after the second pit stop, and all the leaders came in tanked up. They can go home from here. They are working the 20th of the 50 laps. And there you see Baker deployed in first, and the next Ford is right there in second place. That is Bill Elliott, followed by Neil Bonnet. Then Kyle Petty has come into the 4th position. Back up to over 190 miles per hour.
Well, Kyle Petty has really pulled up well in this race. Obviously, he's doing a tremendous job, but there's a long way to go yet, as Judy Johnson says.
Let's take a look at the car that's on the bubble now in the 15th position. That's Phil Parsons in number 66, running for Rookie of the Year on the Grand National Tour for 1984. Shuffle of cars as they come out of 4. Now Kyle Petty is pulling up and trying to make a move, not getting through.
Somebody coming into the pits at a fantastic speed. Number 68, he just turned right in there. Laurent Rue, your friend from Canada.
Laurent Rue from La Belle Provence pulls in and is having problems on car number 68. Back straightaway, leaders. Down to the inside. Here comes Cale looking for that lead. He's by 1, takes out Bonnet, takes out Elliott. Goes after Baker, bottom side of the racetrack, can't get through.
And slips back up in the 2nd spot.
And still hovering back there in 5th spot is Kyle Petty. What a run he's been having. From the grandstands, look at this picture. Here they are through the 17-degree trioval. Down into turn number 1, fastest part of the racetrack, up over 200 miles an hour. And then the G-forces just load up on you on this 31-degree banking.
I'll tell you who is interesting here, running in a very lonely 8th place, is your friend Dick Trickle, with 1,000 victories under his belt. He's hanging on extremely well there with no draft either in front or behind him.
Tremendous racer. Trickle trying to make it into the 500. Here they come in march lockstep order to turn 3. Ford in 1st, Ford in 3rd, and in 5th.
Dave Marcus doing a bit of wall meandering there, getting very close to the wall as he went through 3.
Chevrolets dominate the field this year. At 2nd spot, Haley Yarborough. Then the Chevrolet back there in that 4th position, Neil Bonnet. Back they come for turn 1. A quick look at attrition now. Let's see who's out of this thing. Out of the first 125-mile qualifying race. There you see it. Thus far, 6 cars of the 36 starters have fallen by the wayside. Latest victim, Randy Baker and Joe.
Oh, big crash in turn.
Down on the turn 2 area, we've got 2 cars spinning and sliding. You can add 2 more to that attrition rate. Look out, there's a car bouncing back into the track. It looks like 73 and 74, and 73 went right back across the track, right in front of traffic. Steve Moore out of Georgia, and with him is number 74, Bobby Wowak of Villa Park, Illinois, who's had his share of crashes on this racetrack. Caution is out again. It's the 3rd caution of the day. It comes in the 23rd lap. And that's the story on Bobby Wowak this year. These 125s have been devastating over the seasons for Bobby Wowak. Front end sawed off, car number 74, and with him 73 took a glancing blow. Steve Moore and his car ricocheted back out onto the 2nd turn right across the track as traffic was still approaching at over 190 miles per hour. You see a black consultation flag in starter Harold Kinder's hands There's the driver, car number 73 out. He looks like he took a lick. Walking a little gingerly. 52, Jimmy Means is on pit road. Waiting for word on who the consultation flag was thrown for. On might be number 65, they say, had a black flag. Ralph Jones of Upton, Kentucky. A long way to come. Months of work, and it's all over before you ever get to the 500.
Yeah, he's hurt a bit too. He's obviously cracked his leg on the dashboard. There's the other driver, seems to be pretty good.
Bobby Womack out of his car again. A flaming crash in one of these 125s a few years ago. Climbed out of his car with his hands on fire that day. Both into the outside wall. The 73 car, the yellow car, is the number 74 Womack, and the 73 is Steve Moore.
And just going out of the picture there was number 52, which is now in the pits having its front left end sorted out. It looked a bit out of shape there. Maybe he caused the accident in the first place. It's hard to tell.
Shredding.
74 gradually coming apart there as it slides across the grass.
Front end off the car. And at this point, the 73 was doing its dance of death right across the track into the outside wall.
And Rusty Wallace has come into the pits. Rusty Wallace, who was on the bubble a few minutes ago.
Quick report from Chris Economaki.
Rusty Wallace is in, and they're putting tires on the right side of the car, but the problem here is this new high pit wall. The crews are having trouble getting all of that heavy equipment. The wall has been raised over 6 inches since last year. The wheels weigh 60 pounds apiece. A gas can weighs 77 pounds. So there's more exercise being received by pitmen this year than ever before. Now they're making adjustments under the front of the car. They're doing what they say, rebuilding the car at this pit stop. Now, if their work has been proper, why, the car will do a lot better on the track than it has been. Back to you, Ken.
There's Rusty Wallace coming back on the track after a great job by his pit crew. Barry Owen, David Huffin, David McGee. Those are the guys you never hear about, but really make these things work when they come on pit road. Let's take a look at the man in the bubble right now, and lo and behold, it's A.J. Foyt. Right beside him is Ridley in the 84. A.J., the 4-time winner.
A.J. should be okay. He qualified 196.8, which was pretty good, so
if he falls out, he's still in. Here's Chris once again.
I'm in A.J. Foyt's pit, and when I came over here, I said, who is the official team spokesman? Because A.J. had said that the entire team is his crew chief, and the answer I got was, he's in the car on the track. A.J. Foyt happens to be in 15th place. If he loses a spot, he won't qualify and have to hope that his speed will get him in. But it's interesting that everybody here is the crew chief, but only one man can speak for the team, and that's the man in number 14. Back to you, Ken.
There he is. There he is, A.J. Foyt at number 14, and that's not unusual. That's the way it usually is.
Absolutely right, too.
Now, he's driving an Oldsmobile car, and some say that the aerodynamics on that don't function quite as well as he might wish. Here's the attrition once again. It now builds to 9 cars that are out. There you see 27 cars still on the track. Jimmy Means, the latest retiree. Young driver out of Alabama who's had his share of misfortune on these super speedways, was in a horrendous crash in Talladega, Alabama several years ago. Means, car number 52. Steve Moore and Bobby Womack.
I think Means was involved in that accident, wasn't he? Just slightly, at least a certain part of it.
He's a good racer. He's a fine driver.
Yeah.
But he's a privateer, does it all himself. That isn't easy. They have been coming to Daytona in February since 1903. That was back in the days when Ransom Olds and Willie K. Vanderbilt left the beach at Ormond and raced down to Daytona, and it ended in a dead heat. And this has been the mark of motorsports competition ever since that beginning. We have at least one more lap under caution before they'll turn them loose here today. There's the black flag out. Consultation flag is given, and he will retire to the pits and have a few words with some of the folks there as to what is going wrong with his car and his day. Now been completed here at the Daytona Speedway in the first 50-lap, 125-mile qualifying race. There you see the leader, Buddy Baker. They'll be back under green in 1 lap. Let's go to Ned Jarrett on pit road.
Well, Ken, good news from the hospital. The preliminary reports are that both drivers, Bobby Womack and Steve Moore, walked from the ambulance. Of course, they are now being observed by the track hospital doctors, but it was good news that they were able to walk on their own. Now let's go up pit road where Chris Economack is in the pits of Phil Parsons.
But number 66, Phil Parsons. Phil is a rookie going for Rookie of the Year honors. They're a little nervous here. They say that this is a dry run for the Daytona 500, but Phil Parsons' sponsor has seen to it that he does a daily column for the local paper. And we found out things like he doesn't eat anything that swims or flies. And the people up and down here who read the papers know more about Phil Parsons than perhaps Darrell Waltrip or Cale Yarborough. Back to you, Ken.
Let's take a look as we get ready for green and how they line up. Buddy Baker will be running first. You're taking a look at 66 Phil Parsons. He's running back in 12th. As they come around to take the green, it'll be Baker first, Yarborough second, Elliott third, Bonnet fourth, David Pearson fifth, Kyle Petty in sixth, Marcus is in seventh, Trickle is eighth, Bodine is ninth, Reagan 10th, Dean Roper 11th, and then Phil Parsons in 12th, 13th is Ingram, 14th is Ridley, and 15th on the bubble is A.J. Foyt with Ramos Stott in the 16th spot. All right, ready to go once again. 30 laps complete when they come by this time. 20 laps to go. First 125-mile qualifier coming back to the line. We've had 3 caution periods thus far in the race. To the line. Buddy Baker leads them down to turn number 1.
And Dave Marcus picks up a few spots right there at the beginning before the flag is dropped, and is now locked in combat with David Pearson as they go through turn 2.
With the 3 early cautions, it's the slowest 125-mile ever thus far at only 113 miles per hour, but action-packed. The slowest race on record previously, 125 miles an hour by Dave Marcus when he won it in 1976. That was at an average speed of 119 when he won the 125 in 1976. Marcus now driving for the Raymock team. There you see the leader, Buddy Baker, who won the fastest 500-mile race in the history of motorsports. The 1980 Daytona 500 at 177 miles an hour. Marcus is on the move. He's up to 5th. Brand new team and a great new outlook. Black flag on Blackman Wentworth. Consultation flag on the Minnesota driver is out. Leaders coming out of turn number 2. And there is a black flag on Marcus in the 75.
I wonder what that's about. I wonder if they thought he jumped the start.
Pulled off due to riding in the second lane on the start. They're going to bring in Marcus.
Yeah, he didn't stay in line at that restart. I saw him come down out of turn 4 and made a move on Pearson, and they're going to have a word with him about that. And that'll really put him out of contention.
Itchy to do well on his first ride for Raymock Racing, the team that's had everybody driving the car this year. Petty was scheduled until 2 or 3 weeks ago to be in the car. Now there he goes. That blue car on the inside is Marcus. He's taking a shot at the lead, but he has a black flag facing him. That's a consultation flag. They'll
really low there.
They'll give it to him for 3 laps. And then I believe they'll stop scoring it.
A.J. Foyt back on the 14th and 15th spots, being given a hard time now by Jack Ingram in Junior Johnson's other car.
Here's Chris Economack.
They're really disturbed in Dave Marcus' pit. Could you tell me what the problem is? Can I look at you here?
Well, you saw it. Pearson passed everybody on the yellow.
God damn it. Just tell when he's not. Okay, well, they're concerned with the race. There's a dispute here as to whether the black flag should have been given to Dave Marcus or not. They're really uptight in the pit, wondering whether it's going to toll. Marcus is not obeying it. He's still out on the track. We'll have to see what happens. Back to you, Ken.
An angry pit crew. And again, Marcus stays out there. He could see his number illuminated on that board, but he's continuing to try to fight his way through. He has now fallen back to 6th spot. There you see him, number 75, Dave Marcus. Field rumbles down the back straightaway. Baker's in front. Yarborough's in second. Bill Elliott's in third, and Neil Bonnet stays fourth. And here comes Jeff Bodine in the fifth. The Spurlock car is moving up, and now Marcus is slowing down. Dave Marcus, the blue car, dropping to the bottom of the track. He's going to pit. There'll be some anger in his pits.
Boy, there will.
As he comes in, going to stop him and then let him go back out. Here is Marcus coming in car number 75. They say he was in the wrong lane for that single file start. He's pulling down. There's Chris Economack there at his pit. Let's go to Chris.
It was one of those stop-and-go situations. That's the penalty that Marcus is paying for apparently having violated the rule. It wasn't the black flag so much as it was the wrong lane. The high-speed leaders have the outside lane. The slower men have the inside lane. Apparently the NASCAR officials felt Marcus was in the wrong lane. Back to you, Ken.
So Barnes has lost there half a lap. He's just going to turn 2 now, while the leaders are coming out of turn 4.
5 times a winner. No cars had been lapped. It was designated a single file restart. We have an 12-car freight train for the lead right now. Baker stays on the point. The one place you don't want to be out here. He was set up in the Busch Clash by Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough in a similar situation. Now, 35 laps complete, working lap number 36. 200 miles an hour, back straightaway.
Well, knowing Cale, he'll just stick in that second spot till the last lap. He keeps on doing that, and Buddy Baker, of course, is trying to shake him up, trying to get him in there in front of him, but they can't.
Around the banking from the Goodyear blimp. By this time, they will have completed 90 of 125 miles. And look at that string of beads going down in front of the grandstand area by the start-finish line, headed for turn number 1. Rush hour traffic and no speed limit at the world's center of speed. As Baker stays in front, Yarborough stays in second. Out of turn number 2. Nobody wanting to tip their hand right now, dude.
No, they're all willing to just keep it exactly like it is, because in fact that entire front draft is only 14 cars, so they're all in anyway.
Baker in front. They continue to add cars into that draft, collect them as lap after lap. They roll around this track at over 195 mile an hour average when they're under green. The line, Baker first, Yarborough second, Elliott third, Bonnet fourth. Screaming back down into turn number 1. And the man on the bubble is now Jack Ingram in the number 98. 15th position right there. Correction, 92. Correction, 92. A.J. Foyt in 14th, in car 14. Leaders for 4. First to 14th position, 3 4/10 of a second. First to 14th as they attempt to qualify for the $1 million 26th annual Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Car saying goodnight here on pit road is number 06, Wayne Peterson, in his Buick out of Alabama. What a struggle for the lead. There you see that Bonnet car just lying forth. That car has a lot of muscle. Came pounding through in the running of the Clash last Sunday here on CBS. Ricky Rudd, the victim of a terrible crash. Miraculously, he's ready to race again now in one of these 125-mile qualifiers.
Well, the one guy who's really had a luck in this whole shuffle in the last few laps, of course, has been Rusty Wallace in the car number 88, the Cliff Stewart car. He has got left behind out of this lead draft and is therefore running at about 16th spot, which just won't do it.
Bodine
to catch him up.
Bodine stays 5th. Pearson 6th. Kyle Petty 7th. Ridley 8th. And going 9th is Phil Parsons. Phil Parsons dropping back to 9th on the leaderboard now. Here's Ned Jarrett.
I'm standing by with Doug Richard, who is one of the youngest crew chiefs on the circuit. His real position is crew chief for Neil Bonnet, but today he's pulling a dual role because Jack Ingram is out there in the backup car. And right now, Doug, it looks like that he's on the bubble, so to speak. He's the last car that would qualify. Is he doing what you wanted him to do?
Yeah, basically, Ned, what he's wanting to do is just finish well enough where we can get a spot in the 500 if something drastic happens to Neil's car here in this qualifying race. So he should be in pretty good shape, and it may come down to his time. He should still be the team.
Any Neil, the word from Neil up front there, is he sitting where he wants to be, or how's he doing?
Well, the words we've got from him so far is that the car is handling real well and running real good. So it's getting down here to 10 to 9 laps to go, and I think he'll start making his move from here on out.
Okay, we'll see if he can make that move. Now let's go to Chris Economaker.
It's lunchtime on a Thursday here in Daytona Beach, and the crowd turning out for these 125-mile races is staggering in size. 5 or 10 years ago, they would have been happy to get this many people for a Daytona 500. It shows a dramatic interest in stock car racing in these United States. Back to you, Ken.
9 laps remaining as they come by this time. 9 to go. And what a freight train. A.J. Foyt's back on the bubble in 15th spot.
And losing ground rapidly, too, to Jack Ingram, who only passed him 1 lap ago and is now about 1.5 seconds in front. Foyt slowing up quite a lot.
Leaders, Baker first, Yarborough second, Elliott third, Bonnet fourth, Bodine in fifth, Pearson is sixth, Kyle Petty is seventh, Jody Ridley is in eighth. Running in the ninth position is Ken Reagan, and in 10th is the great Midwestern star Dick Trickle. Change of leadership. Cale Yarborough goes out in front, 43 complete, 7 to go. And the new leader is Cale Yarborough at number 28, the man who put that car on the pole at 201.8 miles per hour. Puts that Ron L. Wilson prepared car back, and he's trying to draw away. A.J. Foyt's in trouble. Meanwhile, there's the battle for second place. Neil Bonnet had it. Now Bonnet in the second position is being challenged. Buddy Baker goes through to second.
Bill Elliott goes through to third.
Bonnet drops to fourth.
And Cale Yarborough serves notice of a tough 500 by just pulling away from that draft.
He is walking away from the field. This is remarkable. He is breaking the draft. He's driving out of it, David.
Well, it would certainly seem like that. Bill Elliott has another go at Buddy Baker as they go through turn 1 and 2.
There's Elliott into second. Baker falls to third.
Bonnet's dropping back off the pace. We might have expected that. He has a slightly... His gearing's not very well set up for this high-speed race. He thought the race speed would go up as the race developed. As it's happened, they've had so many cautions. They're all raring to go, and Cale Yarborough is just pulling away from the field.
Here's Ned Jarrett with Waddell Wilson.
Well, he's the man that makes that car go so fast. Waddell, everybody was surprised when Cale made his move. Was that the plan?
Well, no. Well, at least I haven't been telling him anything to do. Well, I think what's happened, he's seen an RPM's way down, and he knows he can run a lot quicker. And they don't want to get in a, in a big pack there at the end going into 3. So he probably feels he can get away from him and go on and try to win.
Is that surprising you a little bit that he's able to pull away as easy as he is?
Well, no, I'm just glad he can. It feels good to be able to have a car that'll run that good.
Well, I tell you, he deserves that confidence, Tim. Now let's go down to Chris Economac, who's with Leonard Wood.
Okay, Buddy Baker's too cheap. Leonard, is Buddy going to be able to match Cale's speed in the last few laps?
It don't look like it. It looked like Cale's awful strong, so... he qualified over 200 miles an hour, and it looks like we don't have enough for him.
What are you going to do between now and Sunday?
We'll just have to try to get better.
Okie doke. Back to you, Ken.
Pray a lot.
Bill Elliott is in second, and you see in third the Wood Brothers car. And A.J. Foyt is in trouble. Doug Hepburn had just gone by him a moment ago. Now A.J. Foyt has dropped onto the apron. A.J. in his qualifying lap, David, had a 195, 196?
196.8. He should be okay at that, but only just. But it's a very, very fast qualifying field.
46 laps of 50 complete, 47 this time by. There's that battle for second place as Yarborough is exerting tremendous strength in car number 28.
He is just driving away, even though the two Fords of Bill Elliott and Buddy Baker are locked together there in a perfect draft situation. They should be able to pull up on him. There's A.J. Foyt coming into the pits.
Fourth place is Neil Bonnet. Fourth place is Bonnet. Fifth place is Bodine. Sixth place is Pearson. Seventh place is Petty. Eighth is Parsons as it unwinds. Battle is for second place between two 1984 Ford Thunderbirds. There you see the 28 car staying up in front. There's that battle as Bill Elliott, the youngster, fends off Buddy Baker. There's the leader once again, car number 28. Three-time winner of the Daytona 500. Can he make it 4 on Sunday? He sure looks stout out here today in this 125-mile qualifier.
I would.
Don Hepburn from the state of New York is now the man on the bubble in 15th, that yellow and red car, and right in front of him is Jack Ingram. Back with the leader another time. 2 to go. Well, he's won 3 Daytona 500s. He won it in 68. He won it in 77. And with our CBS onboard camera, he won it last year. And, of course, CBS will have a camera once again in that seat alongside, if there was to be a seat in these cars, of Cale Yarborough Sunday afternoon in the Great American Race.
If I was a betting man, I wouldn't want to be putting money against him. That's right, for sure.
1 to go. Last lap. Final lap. And and then all of a sudden just took total dominance of this race. Nothing lacking in this 125-miler for Cale Yarborough. He's won the 125-mile qualifying races before, but this is absolutely one of the most impressive performances by Yarborough in any car in this race as he drew away from the draft. He's won this race on 4 previous occasions. He's coming down for the checkered flag. The battle will be for second spot between Bill Elliott and Baker at the line. Here he is, drawing away. Give the first race to Yarborough at the line. Second place goes to Elliott. Third place to Baker. Fourth place to Bonnet. Fifth to Bodine. And Jody Ridley went back into the pit road area just as the race came to conclusion. Have a word with his brother Biddle Ridley, his crew chief. Here's Cale Yarborough, the winner, and there is second place, Bill Elliott.
Well, Bill Elliott drove as good a race as you could possibly hope to drive and just got beaten in the most horrible fashion by Cale Yarborough.
The experts will have to rethink this one. Yarborough, not with a qualifying engine, but with a 125-mile engine, ready to go for 500. Comes out here and draws away from the field. Let's take a photo of the finish once again. Here you'll see Yarborough coming to the line. Now watch the cars for second position directly behind him. Baker takes an inside shot. Doesn't have enough time or room to get by Bill Elliott in second place. Back with more from the Daytona International Speedway in a moment. 1984 Daytona 500. Let's now join the winner with Ned Jarrett in victory lane.
And Cale Yarborough, a big smile on his face. Of course, this is not his first visit to victory lane here at Daytona, but Cale, they seem to make it somewhat easy for you. Were you surprised you were able to pull out front that quick?
Well, I really was, Ned. I knew in the beginning of the race that if I could run flat out like I did the first few laps, that I might could get away from them a little bit because, you know, everybody behind you is fighting for position. So I wanted to run behind Buddy to the last lap, but Buddy wasn't going to have any of that. So he pulled over and made me go by him down the backstretch with, you know, 8 or 9 laps to go. And I just said, well, if I can run it flat out for 10 laps, I don't believe they can catch me, and it worked.
You were going to wait until the last lap then?
Right. I was going to wait to the last lap if I could have stayed where I was behind Buddy, but he wouldn't have any of that, so I had to go.
Got to feel good going into the Daytona 500 with that kind of horsepower in the hood.
Well, I really do, Ned. This Hardy Chevrolet is really running good. Waddell and the entire crew has done a fantastic job. And, you know, I've been watching these commercials on TV. The hamburger places want to know where the beef is. This number 28's got the beef.
Of course, Carol will be carrying one of the CBS cameras on Sunday in the Daytona 500. His wife, Betty Jo, here with a big smile on her face. Now let's go to the garage area and Chris Economac.
Well, that man that came in second in a great drive, Bill, did you have ideas of winning this, say 5 or 6 laps to go?
I felt like I had a good chance. I stayed behind Cale, and I was going to try to make my move when Cale made his move behind Buddy. But Buddy pulled over down the back straightaway and put the brakes on, and that let Cale, everybody was just a little bit hesitant on what to do. I tapped the brakes, and everybody else was coming up behind me so quick, that let them get by me. And then we were all jockeying around, and Cale just kept on going. You know, and then it also, on top of that, he was catching other cars, and it just helped him get on away from us.
Phil, did you ever see anybody with such strength when he wanted it to pull away out of the draft? I've never seen that before.
I hadn't either. We were watching him yesterday afternoon in practice, and it was unreal. His car, I saw Neil pull in behind him. They took off. Cale just drove away. It's unreal. The car will really run.
Now, what do you do now between now and Sunday to match that?
Well, I felt like my car was good. I'm just going to try to get it working a little bit better in the corners, and I feel real comfortable with the car. I felt like I could have kept up with him if I didn't get caught behind, but we got caught a little bit behind. You know, I don't know if I could have passed him at the end, but I felt like I could have kept up with him.
You don't want 1984 to be a lot of second places like 83, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, Bill Elliott trying to get first. Now back to you, Ken.
It could be a historic, it's bound to be historic, but it could be really a race for the record book on Sunday. Cale Yarborough has now won the pole, and he has won a 125-mile qualifying race. Really, all he had to do today was come out here and start this race. He had secured the pole by going 201.8 miles per hour last Sunday. But now, Cale Yarborough is into position to do what has not been done but once on this track. In 1962, Fireball Roberts won the pole, won the qualifier, at that time a 100-mile distance, and went on to win the 500. Nobody has ever taken a Daytona Triple Crown since. So Cale Yarborough is in a position to do it all come Sunday afternoon. There's the summary of the race. 50 laps, 3 different leaders. The top 15 at the finish. Yarborough winning, Elliott second, Buddy Baker in third, Bonnet was fourth, Bodine fifth, Pearson sixth. It was Phil Parsons in seventh, Kyle Petty was eighth, Ken Reagan ninth, 10th was Dean Roper, Trickle finished 11th, Doug Heverin 12th, then Jack Ingram in 13th, Combs was 14th, and Rusty Wallace was 15th. Back with the second 125 in a moment. Winner Richard Petty. Going to row 5, it's Grant Adcox and Tim Richmond. In row 6, Sterling Marlin and Bobby Allison. In row 7, Tommy Gale and New York State's Greg Sachs. Row 8 is Mike Alexander and Lenny Pond. In row 9, Ricky Rudd and Clark Dwyer. Row 10, Connie Saylor and defending Indianapolis champion Tom Sneva. Elliott Forbes Robinson and Joe Boer are in row 11. Row 12 is Mark Stahl, the off-road racer, and Jim Southard. Going to row 13, Lake Speed and Buddy Arrington. And in the 14th row, Tex Bobby Hillen and Randy LaJoy from up in Connecticut. 15th row, Del McCoward and Dave Simcoe. 16th row, J.D. McDuffie and Rick Newsom. Going to 17th row, it's Blackie Wengren and Don Paul. And then comes Jim Hurlbut and Jerry Churchill. So there's the field ready to go. With some of the key players in the field, let's take a look at this story and go down to Chris Economaki standing by. Chris?
Well, thank you, Ken. I'm with Darrell Waltrip. Darrell, you've had a degree of success on the Daytona Speedway, 4 qualifying wins, a Busch Clash, 3 sportsman races, but the big ones have always eluded you. How do you look on the Daytona Speedway when it comes to a 500?
Well, I've been working hard on my mental state. Never winning this race, and it's so important to me, and it's so important to our sponsors. It really is an added dimension as far as I'm concerned. I need to win this race. I want to win it very badly, and I try to convince myself that I don't do anything differently here than I've done at Bristol or Nashville or Wilkesboro or Charlotte. I hope that I've got it all under control this year. I've had a long talk with myself on a number of occasions. I'm not going to try to win this race. I'm just going to try to finish it.
That's what I was going to say, Darrell. It's been a long time since you finished here.
It's been 4 years. I finished second here in 1979, and I've been knocked out of the last 4. 3 blown engines and a bad crash last year. So the crash last year convinced me that I need to work on my game plan a little bit, and hopefully I've got a new plan for this year. Maybe it'll work.
Okay, so Darrell Waltrip has a new plan, and down pit road is my colleague, Ned Jarrett.
Chris, I'm standing by with Ricky Rudd, who just a few days ago had one of the most horrifying accidents we've seen here at the Daytona International Raceway in the Busch Clash. Ricky, do you have any apprehensions about getting back into a race car after that?
Well, no, not really, Ned. You know, I was only in the hospital about a day, and I came back out on Tuesday and got back in the race car. And I think if I'd had trouble, I'd have experienced it then. To me, it wasn't that bad of an accident, just for the simple reason that after the first flip, I blacked out, and I don't really remember all the rest of it. I haven't looked at any photographs of it and haven't looked at it on film. So to me, it's not that bad, and it's something that it's not that hard for me to have to overcome because I simply didn't see it.
As a result of that accident, you had to qualify a backup car for the Daytona 500. You're starting farther back in the field here today. How do you see that?
Well, to me, that scares me worse than thinking about that wreck the other day. There's a lot of nervous people back in the pack there that I think there's a lot of pressure on them to come into these 125s and do good. If they don't do good, they load up and they go home. So you tend to have a lot of drivers really living it all the way on the line there because they know what the consequences are. I'm just hoping that I can get very quickly get out of that pack and find some people up front to run with.
Well, Ken, you can rest assured that accident hasn't taken any of his enthusiasm away.
Back for the start in a moment. Race is ready to go. The field approaching turn number 3. Up on the front row, it's Terry Labonte and Benny Parsons. At row 2 of Waltrip and Earnhardt. First 125-mile qualifier run at a very slow gait. Here we are ready to go. 36 cars strong. 15 to make it here. There's Ricky Rudd's wife, Linda, watching down on pit road and scoring for him today. She stayed cool and collected, and she was just 85 or 90 feet from where that car came to rest. a Sunday ago in the Clash.
Well,
He
he
had
must be a
trouble.
bit apprehensive because the one thing he doesn't want really is to be right back in the pack, which is where he is now.
On the break, Ricky Rudd in car number 15 from the 17th position. Into turn number 1. Pouncing on the lead, Parsons. Out of 2. And that incredible sight as they come to 200 miles an hour, inches apart.
Darrell Waltrip sliding right back to what, 8th place?
In the Clash last week, he slid back as well. Now here's Waltrip on the inside attacking. He's pulling up on Petty on the bottom side of the racetrack. Coming around to complete lap number 1.
Terry Labonte now leading in that car number 44. And he could just do to this race what Cale Liabra did to the first race.
Car number 29, Adcox, in trouble and slowing down in the first lap. Terry Labonte fighting his way up through and taking the lead. Parsons back to 3rd in the middle. Dale Earnhardt now carrying the yellow and blue livery on a number 3 car. Backstretch. Trying to draw away. Terry Labonte, that car, really stout, qualifying at over 200 miles an hour. Field back and forth.
Ricky Rudd in 11th spot there in that lead draft.
Number 90 goes into 2nd place. Ricky Rudd trying to work his way through. Leaders down out of 2. And there's a black flag on car number 37, Connie Saylor, who had a terrible misfortune. There's Tom Sneva, defending Indianapolis champion, number 2, going by him. Back for the leaders. Here comes Parsons. Terry Labonte in front. The 44 car, owned by Billy Hagan.
Really flying along there in the front, pulling away from that draft.
Richard Brooks in 2nd spot on the number 90 car. Look at that shuffle out of the tri-oval.
That is a shuffle.
Parsons stays 3rd. Tim Richmond is up to 4th.
Dale Earnhardt 5th. Richard Petty running up high on the wall there, as always, coming out of turn 2. Down onto the backstretch. Trying to put a pass on to
Richard Petty on the move. Petty down the inside. And there goes Parsons. He goes underneath Richard Brooks as they shuffle in turn 3. The battle is on, and it is now Richard Petty beginning to show some muscle. He comes into 5th. Let's go to the pits for this report.
Ken, you mentioned that Darrell Waltrip in car number 11 had dropped back at the start of the race. We're with his crew chief, Jeff Hammond. Jeff, what, did he have a problem?
No, Ned, I believe Darrell had started to make a move right down the inside of down the backstretch a little earlier, and nobody went with him. And like we've seen before, once you go to pull out like that, if they goes with you, you get caught out on the inside or outside, and everybody just went by him, so he had to wait for a hole to get back in. Now he's got to work his way back up.
Well, Ken, we heard him say at the top of the show that he wanted to finish these races, so maybe that's part of the plan.
Last lap at 195 mile an hour average for this man, number 44. Terry Labonte stays in front. It's Parsons pulling into 2nd. And the 3rd spot, Tim Richmond. There's Terry Labonte out of Corpus Christi, Texas, now leading the 2nd 125-mile qualifier. Benny Parsons, the winner in 75. Lies 2nd, Richmond 3rd, Richard Brooks 4th, Richard Petty 5th. The 6th spot is Dale Earnhardt. Going 7th is Gann, 8th is Ron Bouchard, and 9th is Darrell Waltrip with 10th Bobby Allison.
Well, this is what some of the guys like Tom Sneva didn't want in this race, is a huge dice for the lead, leaving him struggling in the back with people like Sterling Marlin, and they just won't get into the race on their qualifying speed.
Got trouble in the back straightaway. That's Sneva in trouble, and other cars slithering and sliding out of turn number 2. Sneva gathers it up. Yellow is coming out. They're racing back to the flag. As they come around to complete lap number 6, Labonte will be 1st. It'll be Benny Parsons in 2nd, Richard Brooks into 3rd as he just Snooker getting underneath Tim Richmond at the line. Tom Sneva in the Robert Harrington car. Car number 2 blowing a tire. Coming in right down on the hub all the way around. It's almost 3/4 of a mile home for him. We'll take a look and replay at what happened in turn 2. Mike Alexander on pit road, number 71. Car breaking away.
Ooh, overcorrected.
Looks like he lost the engine. Sneva, as he started down out of 2, something was really amiss. It was already showing a little bit of smoke. Corrects, he gathered it up. And then in taking evasive action, a couple more cars squirted down beneath him.
Who is that?
Here he comes, right front down. Sneva, defending Indianapolis champion, 3-time second place, had that amazing 33rd to 2nd run.
He's looking for the wheel stall.
Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, as they coast into the pits, as you say, that right front is completely down on the ground. They're going to have trouble, first of all, getting the jack under it, but I'm wondering, too, if there might not be some suspension damage done. The left rear tire on the car is also flat, as Robert Harrington and the rest of the crew go over to see if they can repair the damage that's done. Now one of the NASCAR officials over talking to him. It looks like Sneva is going to come out of the car. He figures apparently that that's going to be all. You can see him now as he unbuckles the window net. So it looks like for the 1983 Indy 500 winner that he might not make the Daytona 500. We'll be back with this later. Let's go to Chris Economac.
I'm with Bud Moore, Ricky Rudd's crew chief. What does Ricky have to say about the race so far, Bud? How's he feeling and how's the car going?
He said the car's running right well. We got a little push getting in the corners, a little bit tight, so I think it'll be real fine after we run another 7 or 8 laps on the green. Then the car should neutralize, and we should be in real good shape.
Well, that's a good mechanical report, Bud. Tell me about your driver.
Well, the driver right now, he said he feels real good, and everything's looking on go.
Okay, and now back to Ned Jarrett.
Definitely unbuckling from the Simonized car number 2, getting out of it. We'll get a word from him here in just a moment as he comes out of the car. It's too bad that a fellow of his stature is out of it here today. Tom, I know that you maybe can't hear us as you unbuckle your helmet. What happened over there?
I don't know. Something let go coming off the corner, and the car got sideways and just got into the wall a little bit. But something on the right side let go coming off the corner.
Well, boy, I know this is awfully disappointing to you and the Robert Harrington crew.
Well, it is. You know, the car drives real good. We were having a little motor problem down here, but, you know, we were just going to hang on and go for a ride today and try to get ready for Sunday.
Okay, that's the word from Tom Sneva. Now let's go back to Ken Squire.
Tom Sneva had qualified at 191.168 miles per hour, so whether or not he'll be one of those 10 to come from speed into the 500, that's in question. Back with more in a moment. Parsons is 2nd, Brooks 3rd, Richmond 4th, Petty 5th. Back in 6th is Earnhardt, 7th is Gant, 8th is Allison, 9th is Waltrip, and 10th is Ricky Rudd. Let's go to Chris Economac.
The tools used in the pit area today are rather sophisticated in most cases, stock car racing becoming a highly scientific sport. But in some pits, some of the old tools are still in use. These things here, which are now known as Mexican speed wrenches, they're still used once in a while during the course of a stock car race. Back to you, Ken.
Indeed they are.
That's supposed to be a single file restart, but
when the green came out, they made a jump on it, and going out in front is Gant in the 33. He stuck his nose right down on the bottom.
I didn't see whether he moved before the flag dropped or not, but if he did, they'll have the black flag out for him again.
All right, there's the field, and it is demanded down the inside. Down the back straightaway. They put them 3 wide. Looks like they're going to put them 4.
Right.
That's Allison. Screaming into the lead. Bobby Allison, defending Grand National champion. Bobby Allison is on the move, and here comes Waltrip into 3rd. Gant settling back into 2nd.
And Tim Richmond lying up there in 4th. He's running pretty strongly today. Benny Parsons dropped back to 7th.
5th spot is Labonte. 6th spot is Parsons. Down into turn number 1. There are now 12 laps complete, working lap 13 of 50.
And we had a smoker going into turn 1. I don't know how it's going to develop.
Bobby Allison in command. Had terrible luck here a year ago. Lost 2 automobiles. Now to the inside. Here comes Waltrip, and with him comes Tim Richmond. Still in front, Allison. Waltrip into second. This race has never, the 500 has never treated Waltrip well. New man on the bubble is car number 10. Sterling Marlin's car number 10 is now in 15th position.
Sterling Marlin going to go for Rookie of the Year this year, so he wants to get in this race.
The leaders in a bundle, west end of the Speedway, out of 2. Allison first. Waltrip second. Richmond third. Labonte fourth. Waltrip for the lead. Darrell Waltrip goes out in front. Allison in second place. They made war all of 1983 for the national championship. That was decided in the final race at Riverside, California. And here they are, working each other over in this 125-mile qualifier. Labonte lies fourth. In fifth, Harry Gant.
That's one of the big issues of NASCAR racing this year is going to be Darrell Waltrip and Neil Bonnet in a 2-car team for the first time. And they're both not saying much, but I think there's a lot of thoughts going on, especially in Darrell Waltrip's head, who's a known antagonist of 2-car teams.
6th spot is Parsons. 7th spot is Petty. Challenge for the lead. Inside, Allison. Richmond comes with him into second place. And coming back up is Terry Labonte into third.
Terry Labonte's had a very strong car here for the last 2 weeks. Has shown some extremely hot practice and, of course, qualifying laps, lapping over 200 miles an hour.
Oh, level and in trouble is 07 LaJoy. Randy LaJoy slamming into the wall. Randy LaJoy out of Norwalk, Connecticut, destroyed his automobile. Randy LaJoy, second-generation driver, absolutely destroying the Bob Johnson car number 07.
Well, that was horrible. Yet again, the car spun, lost control, and lifted up and it flew into that wall bottom first. It hit with the underside of the car right on that wall. There's going to have to be a rethink about that wall. That's the 3rd major crash that wall has had in the last 2 years, and I can only think they're going to have to shallow down the angle of attack on that wall.
This was the Rookie of the Year on the NASCAR North Tour a year ago. He's 21 years old, won 4 races on that Northern Tour a year back. This was his first time here at Daytona. Randy LaJoy. And let's look at it again. Out of control, off turn 4. So similar to the 15 Ricky Rudd, but he collects the wall, which Rudd just missed. Sails bottom side at 190 miles an hour into the retainer, and the car is destroyed. The accident taking place in the 15th lap. The 5th car out, LaJoy. Action is on pit road. Drivers now coming in, making the only fuel stop they'll make in this race. Here's Ned Jarrett.
Ken, a little different piece of strategy here for Richard Petty. They're changing all 4 tires on his car number 43. During the first 125 miler, the top runners only took on gasoline, but they've chosen to change all 4 tires, and it could be the fact that he ran through some debris on the track as a result of that accident, not wanting to take any chances. Now let's go to Chris Economack.
Well, I'm by Tim Richmond's pit here. He also changed 4 tires, and 1 pit down was the number 15 car of Ricky Rudd. He got outside tires, but they made suspension adjustments on the car. So Richmond should go very well with 4 tires, as should Richard Petty, and Rudd should do a little bit better now that they have the car better suited to his particular taste. Back to you, Ken.
They're still working on car number 07, Randy LaJoy's car, which lies at the entrance of pit road, totally demolished. We'll be back with more from the Daytona International Speedway in a moment. Connecticut, and they are removing Randy LaJoy from the car. Rookie of the Year on the NASCAR North Tour in 1983, winner of 4 races in his first year on that tour. After this terrible crash, the most dangerous type of wreck, hitting bottom first because the impact loosens the shoulder harness momentarily. Let's look at it again. David?
Well, they're coming off the absolutely notorious turn 4, and it looks like he just flat loses control there as he goes over the tunnel bump and just goes into one of those long 190-mile-an-hour slides. The car's lifting as it goes over the road. The air gets under it, and he just flies bottom first into that wall. I've never seen anybody hit it like that before. Ricky Rudd the other day, of course, his car suddenly changed course, and he just went round the end of that wall. But that was a bad crash.
Randy's dad was a great racer, won over 200 races in the days of the Danbury Race-O-Rama up in Connecticut, and has followed his son's career along. Bob Johnson, who built this car, built a car for Ron Bouchard that won the Talladega 500 here on CBS back in 1981. Bob
I think
Johnson,
one of the problems,
a well-known New England car builder. One
of the problems with these big NASCARs is although they weigh nearly 4,000 pounds, when they get sideways, they've got a pretty high ground clearance. They're not as low as, say, a road racing car. As soon as they get sideways, air just packs under them, and they don't lose any speed. They just keep going at the same speed because the tires don't exert any friction on the road. And they get awful light, and they just keep on going.
This race is going to red. This race is going to be red flag. You see a crash like this, and it brings to mind the sprint car legend Jan Opperman's career-ending crash, similar to this on a dirt track in Pennsylvania a few years back. Bottom side in. 7 cars have now retired from the second 125-mile qualifier for the 1984 Daytona 500. Back with more from the World Center of Speed in a moment. To replace a barrier wall struck by Randy LaJoie at over 190 miles per hour, the field is again running at the Daytona International Speedway. They have made some pit stops. The new leader is Bobby Allison. And the rest of the field is being sorted out as the pit stops are being finished at the present time. Several cars are now retiring from the race. David Simcoe's car number 54 is now being pushed back. He will be the 9th retiree from the event. 36 cars started. Some 14 will qualify. Let's get a quick report as to the condition of Randy LaJoie, who suffered a terrible crash at turn number 4. Here's Ned.
Ken, the preliminary report on Randy is good. The unofficial report is that he was shaken, conscious, but he has been taken to the local Halifax hospital to be kept overnight for observation. But can you imagine going through an ordeal of that sort and his injuries not be any worse than the unofficial report that we get at this time? And that is good news. Now let's go to Chris Economaka.
The crew chiefs up and down pit road are concerned over the hour-and-a-half delay and not being able to work on the cars. They say that tires can go soft, and they won't know whether they're soft until the race begins. And if a car has a soft tire, it could spin out. Now, the tires are ready here for a change if necessary. They have their fingers crossed along pit road. Back to you, Ken.
Pace car is in. Ready for a start. They are away. Darrell Waltrip running back in 13th on this restart as they shuffle down into turn number 1.
Yeah, Richard Petty nearly got caught out there by Blackie Wangren, who led this race briefly and smoking badly. There was a bit of a shuffle right here in the tri-oval, and Richards dropped right to the back of that group.
Now he's coming up on Bouchard. He's passing Buddy Arrington on the outside, closing on Bouchard. Petty, who's coming out of 18th spot on the restart. Here he is slamming through cars, trying to get him. There are the leaders. Change of leadership. Put Labonte in front. Gant in second. And Dick Brooks takes the Junie Donlevy car into third. Out of the 4th turn. Into the tri-oval. 5th place car is Lake Speed. Running in 6th is Ricky Rudd, victim of that terrible crash just days ago in the clash here at the Speedway. Right behind him comes Tim Richmond. Leaders, and there you see the interval between the 1st, 2nd cars and the 3rd, 4th place machines.
Well, Terry LeBond is the only other guy here other than Cale Garber to go over 200 miles an hour this weekend, and he and Harry Gant look like they could be stretching out their lead on Bobby Allison, who's just retaken.
Ricky Rudd and Tim Richmond both down on the inside underneath Lake Speed. Petty's in trouble. Richard Petty's number 43 is slowing down. Petty drops on the apron. No caution out. Leaders. Back they come. Labonte in first, and the Bandit. Harry Gant in second. Allison in third. running in fourth, down into turn number one. It is Richard Brooks, winner of only one Grand National race in his career, but he had a strong fifth-place finish in the Daytona 500 just 1 year ago.
Well, they have a bit of extra sponsorship this year, and they tell me that they're expecting their car to go very well, because it's going to allow them to buy better tires and look after the car and run it a bit harder all the time. So, and he looks like here he's going very well.
Some seagulls leisurely floating over the backstretch, while at 200 miles an hour, the assault continues. Petty is out. Richard Petty's number 43, out of the race.
He did 195 in practice, though, so he should be right on that time. He should be able to stand on that.
Shuffle of positions as they come down out of turn number 4. Striking for the line as they come across this time. Labonte first. Allison looks like he wants to make a move as he comes to the tri-oval. Keep your eye on Allison in the 22. Let's go to Ned Jarrett in the Richard Petty pit.
We're with Buddy Parrott, the crew chief. Buddy, what was the indication? What went wrong?
Well, Richard said he had a vibration, and we don't know what it was. It may have been a dry shaft or something. He had complained about a vibration in the car, you know, on that last pit stop. That's the reason he came and got 4 tires. So maybe we had a dry shaft or something like that messed up in the car.
Well, whatever it is, he's out of it now, Ken.
Halfway this time by. Harry Gant making a tremendous run here. Up in second, Labonte, who qualified outside of the front row at over 200 miles an hour, has the lead in the Billy Hagan car. He flies that machine into the tri-oval. Down they go into turn number 1. Allison playing the waiting game. Twice the Daytona 500-mile champion. Will he make it 3? Sunday afternoon, February 19th. There he is, Bobby Allison in third. Harry Gant in the Hal Needham Burt Reynolds car, number 33 in second.
Darrell Waltrip really unusually off the pace for him, right back in 12th place.
Front 3. Third and fourth turn, east banking.
The lead 3 cars seem to pull out a bit of a gap on the trail on the second group.
And that is led by number 90, Richard Brooks in fourth. In fifth, Tim Richmond. In 6th, Ricky Rudd. In 7th, Lake Speed. In 8th, Benny Parsons. Let's take a look at Ricky Rudd back here. There you see him with Lake Speed right after him. Lake Speed still seeking that first Grand National win in car number 1. Battle for the bubble right here. That is Tommy Gale and Del McCoward. Tommy Gale in the 64, the white car, Del McCoward in the 0. Leaders. Gantz there. Travis Carter prepared car. And Hal Needham and his crew have been down here practicing and testing over some time. Needham taking a very active interest in this car 33 this year. They're right there and within striking distance by 1 car of winning a 125. 28 laps complete of the 50 this time by. From the Goodyear blimp, there are the leaders. There's the Goodyear blimp giving you these incredible pictures as they hustle off the bank.
Through that west end banking, you can see how the sun's showing that terrific shadow over that west end bank. And these 3 leaders have really pulled out. Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, and Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte running very strongly this afternoon, just like he has done all this week.
Leader out in front. It is Labonte. Trying to apprehend him is the Bandit. Gant and Allison, and there's that other battle back there in the 4th position. You see number 90. That is Richard Brooks. Right behind him in the maroon car. That is Tim Richmond. Back for the leaders another time through the tri-oval. Now here comes the 4th place car. And on the outside, a battle in that 4th place is developing. There it is. Tim Richmond up on the outside is going for 4th place. Richmond rim riding his way into turn number 1. Richmond goes into 4th. Richard Brooks drops to 5th. Holding 6 is Ricky Rudd. Leaders in the back straightaway. And there's the other battle. That's the interval from the front green back to the fellows running for 4th through 7th. There's the interval once again. Ned Jarrett has a report for us on the condition of Darrell Waltrip's car.
And he is gradually black sledding through the field in that car number 11. His crew chief says that they think he has a miss in the engine, that he's only running on 7 cylinders, and certainly the way they're running here at Daytona today, you can't keep up that way. He's just staying out there trying to get himself now a position in the Daytona 500, but it won't be long until he'll be out of that top 15.
197 miles an hour was what he ran, so as a provisional, one of those last 10, he would be in the field. But right now, his car, number 11, is in 12th position. Waltrip. Here's the whole story right at this moment with 30 laps complete, 20 to go. Terry Labonte stays in front. Harry Gant, outstanding performance in second spot. And maintaining third is the defending Grand National champion, Bobby Allison.
Well, those three have pulled out over a 3-second gap now on the second group, which is still being led by Tim Richmond, followed by Dick Brooks, Ricky Rudd, and Lake Speed.
All right, from the grandstand, watch them come to the tri-oval to complete the 31st of the 50 laps to be run. Wheeling down before a crowd, no estimate yet, but it looks to me well over 70,000 today here. Front three, hurdle down into turn number 1. Smoker going down.
Lucky wangling there, Smoking going into turn 1. I'm surprised they don't black flag him. He's been doing that most of the race.
The leader remains Terry Labonte at 44. His crew chief, Dale Inman. Chris Economiki's with him.
Dale, Terry's out front. Will he stay there through the white flag lap?
I don't know. We got two awful good cars behind us, Chris, and he'll just have to do what's best that he can do with the car. I don't know what his feeling is toward it. We're getting away from 4th place, so if those first 3 cars stay lined up, it's definitely going to be 3 cars running for the lead, you know, without some caution or something. But they're pulling away from the 4th place car.
Dale, you've been around for so many years, and Terry's a relative newcomer. Are you going to tell him what he should do, or will he make up his own mind?
No, he's on his own out there, Chris. He knows more about what's going on than I do.
Okay, Dale Inman on Terry Labonte, number 44. Back to you, Ken.
I would have trouble believing that. And Dale Inman was the man who strapped up Richard Petty for all 7 of his wins here at the Daytona 500. Crew chief, close friend of Petty for many years, left Petty Enterprises in 1981. Now with Terry Labonte, who leads and is pulling away by 5, 6 car lengths as they hurdle at over 195 miles an hour out of turn number 4. Into the tri-oval they come. Terry Labonte trying to hold on to win this 125-mile qualifier. The Bandit, Harry Gant, number 33, right there as they shake and shuffle just a little coming through the tri-oval and down into turn number 1. 3-car battle for the lead with now 33 laps in the book. Front, Allison in second and holding on is Gant in third. 40 laps complete. 40 complete. On for 44, Terry Labonte. Oh, just a little wobble as he came out of turn number 2. You can see the front end get just a little squirrely for a moment. He gathers it up. Here comes Allison down to the inside. Will he try it at turn 3? He does. Bobby Allison picks it up, and defending national champion and 2-time winner of the 500 pulls away by 8, 9 car lengths as Gant goes after Labonte on the inside. At the line. Allison in front. Lap car just in front. And Bobby Allison. There you see him about an 8-car length advantage. 8 laps to go.
Well, if anybody's praying for a caution flag now, it's Benny Parsons. He is catching up that lead group hand over fist, but he really hasn't left himself enough time. 7 laps.
It'll be interesting to see that interval back there. He's really pulling up.
Well, he's down to like just over 2 seconds now.
He's down to 2 7/10 of a second, and remember it was 4.9 just what 5 laps ago.
Yeah.
So Benny Parsons is the quickest car on the track, maintaining 4th position. 43 laps complete, 7 to go. Del McCoward is just pitting car number 0. Laps running out. Here's Ned Jarrett.
Again, we're standing by with Gary Nelson, the crew chief on Bobby Allison's car. Gary, he made a move similar to what Cale Yarborough did in the first race. Has pulled away a little bit. Is this the plan?
Well, Bobby and I didn't really discuss it after the first race, but Bobby was definitely up on the truck watching how Cale won the first race, so I think he has that in mind. We'll see what happens.
Takes an awfully strong car to be able to pull away in a draft.
Well, you're right about that, Ned. Maybe Bobby's flexing his muscles a little.
Well, we'll see if he's flexing his muscles. Now let's go to Chris Economic.
Okay, I'm down here with Dale Inman. Dale, has Terry said anything about what his plans are for the finishing lap coming up here?
No, I'm just telling him his speed, Chris. I'm just telling him how fast he's running. And I don't know, you know, Bobby's an awful good driver, and he's got an awful good handling car, so we're just out there
But what about what? You've got somebody coming from behind and a man that he wants to pass in front. What do you think his concern is?
Well, I'm sure he wants to get to the checkered flag first, but it's not that desperate. We want to get in the 500 too.
Okay, Dale Inman, a sensible approach, working behind Terry Labonte. Back to you.
Trying to work around some lap cars and having a little trouble is Labonte. That lap car making him squander some time there. As they came down, car number 50 was dancing around the racetrack, giving a bit of a problem to the cars running in second and third. Jim Southard's car out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. Now there you see second and third, and Allison in a carbon copy of the first race when Cale Yarborough did the drawaway. Bobby Allison trying to prove that he too is a Paul Bunyan of a car here that can run away and leave the field with giant steps in the waning moments of this contest.
Well, I think the best Bobby Allison has run all week, so obviously they must be feeling pretty happy because they're running really strongly today and they're gaining momentum as the week goes by, and a couple of the others are losing it.
Second place battle coming around, and there will be 4 laps to go and they hit the line this time. Terry Labonte, the Texan, stays in that second spot, and right behind him comes Dan. What a Daytona 500 for Sunday afternoon. The great American $1 million stock car race here at the birthplace of speed. Allison stays in front. Not being overshadowed by Cale Yarborough today. He has pulled off the same kind of a caper, the same exercise, drawn away. But here come the second and third place cars who would like to change that. And they are catching him up now. Let's take a look at fourth place. Benny Parsons, number 55, running back there in fourth. But the second and third, this may not be a replay of the first 125. There's second and third. They've got to run in single file. Those second and third place cars, if they intend to overhaul that man out in front, they start running side by side. That will slow them down considerably. They're there. They're beginning to knock on the door. 3 to go.
Well, Benny Parsons has just left it too late. He's obviously higher geared than the others. You can hear that as they go past the box here. And if he could just get in that draft, I think his car would be enormously strong. But he's never going to quite make it. 2.5 laps.
Now there you see car number 90. That is the 5th place car. That is Richard Brooks, and right behind him comes number 27, Tim Richmond, trying to close. Number 27 down the inside, trying for 5th spot. Richmond's taking over in 5th. Here comes Lake Speed in number 1. He's going up to 6th. Richard Brooks is falling back. Side by side in 4th. Ooh, tight running. Lake Speed on the inside, Richard Brooks on the outside, and Ricky Rudd directly behind him.
Lake Speed's car definitely bubbling as they come into the trial.
Leaders. Time running out. Down to the end of this one. The second 125-mile qualifier for the 1984 Daytona 500. Bobby Allison stays in front. Lead begins to dwindle. Down the back straightaway. Allison coming to the inside. Terry Labonte pulling up on him another time.
And Benny Parsons is just about to hook onto that group as they come round turn 4.
Let's look at this picture out of turn 4. And you begin to see just in the background there, car number 55, Benny Parsons, really making up time. White flag, 1 to go. There you see the 3 leaders, and there comes Parsons. Benny Parsons into your picture now. He's running in 4th, and he has done a magnificent job. Wide open, flat-footed all around the speedway, trying to overhaul this trio in front.
He's just not getting, I don't know. I can't believe he'll make it that far back.
You wonder if Allison is out here trolling. There he is, dropping to the inside again. Comes off that turn 2, drops low. Maybe he's giving it a little, then maybe he's pulling back. Here comes the 44, last lap. Gant comes to the inside, coming down for the checkers. The Bandit, Harry Gant, the Hal Needham car, number 33, drops to the inside, comes up on a lap car. Here comes Parsons, driving to the finish at the line. It's going to be Allison, the winner. Second place. Second place. From our angle, we'll wait for the call. Tim Richmond is going to come across. Tim Richmond will finish in the 5th position. Brooks was in 6th.
That was some run with Benny Parsons. 1 more lap, and he'd have given them all a heck of a jump.
What a Daytona 500. Allison looking strong. Yarborough looking strong. And Benny Parsons perhaps the strongest of all. As they come to the line on the outside of the white and blue car, Terry Labonte, the green and white car on the inside. As they come down to the stripe, we watch the leader coming across. And that is the 22 car, Allison winning. And the second place car, Harry Gant by just about a foot and a half. Well, the second and the final 125-mile qualifier is over, and we await Sunday and the 26th annual Daytona 500. Qualifier have Bobby Allison the winner, Harry Gant second, Labonte third, Benny Parsons fourth, Tim Richmond fifth. Now let's join the winner in victory circle. Here's Ned Jarrett.
The 1983 Grand National Champion Bobby Allison in Victor Lane. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ned. It was I guess, pretty good race. I enjoyed it. We got hooked up in a good draft there with Terry leading and Harry in second and me behind them. And we went quite a ways, and then those Chevrolets went to wiggling, and this old Buick handled right on by them.
Of course, now when you say they went to wiggling, evidently it looked like Terry's car might have been a little loose in the turn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The further you go, that's a bad characteristic of that particular car. You know, I guess Cale doesn't have it because he apparently has about 200 horsepower over the rest of us. But when you got to run them hard, they do get loose on the drivers, and that's where the quality of this Buick really shows through.
You made a very similar move to what Cale did. With about 8 or 9 laps to go, you decided to take the lead. Most of the time, they wait until the last lap.
Well, I felt like my strength was the handling of the car and our overall lap times rather than trying to draft by on the last lap. Terry had a lot of engine down the back straightaway, and I felt like at first I thought I was going to be in a following position. Just there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. But the further we went, the more he had to back off in the corners, and so I felt like, well, he's fast on the straightaways, and maybe I can get him in the corners.
Well, Bobby, the fans saw the field split here today in these two 125-mile qualifying races. When you put them all together on Sunday, it's going to be some kind of a show.
It really is, Ned. I'll tell you. I watched that first race from on top of one of the trucks for most of the race, and that's about as good a race as I want to see. And then you throw in the rest of the other half of the field of cars, it's got to be great.
Well, here are a man that'll be right in there in the thick of it. Now let's go to Chris Economaker.
Benny, where did it all come from? Suddenly late in the race, boom, you had all over the field. Had you been waiting all day long?
Well, yeah, I really hadn't been going that strong the early part of the race, Chris, because it is a qualifying race, and I was trying simply to get through the thing. So, but then I made a bad pit stop. I made a tragic error on a pit stop and got back 20th place, and then I really had to run as hard as I could to try to get back to 4th place even.
Benny, on the eve of the 500, could you be higher up than you are now emotionally?
No, it's pretty good. The car was pretty decent. You know, I didn't run with some of the other cars with Cale Yarborough, but you know, there were some pretty good cars in my race, and I seemed to have a fair accounting of myself. I think I'm in pretty good shape.
Well, I haven't seen you smile this much in a long time. And now back topside to Ken Squire and his opinions of this exciting day.
Well, thank you, Chris. Two outstanding performances today. Cale Yarborough winning for Chevrolet, Bobby Allison for Buick, and a lot of dark horses putting on a fine show as we prepare for Sunday's Great American Race, the $1 Million Daytona 500. A late report from the Halifax Hospital from the concentrated care unit there. Randy LaJoy is reported in stable condition. Before we began these races today, David Hobbs, you said the key word was tension, and indeed that was the story.
Well, there was a lot of tension because there were 72 runners out there today and 40 of them are going home this evening. But Cale Yarborough really served notice on his opposition by absolutely running away with the first race towards the end. Benny Parsons did an incredible job in the second heat, coming from 6 seconds back to cross the line almost with the leader. And Bobby Allison tried to do a Cale Yarborough and won his heat fairly convincingly. The most disappointed man here, though, must be Sterling Marlin. He stopped in the pit lane at the wrong time on the finish lap and dropped from 10th to 17th. So he's one of the guys that's going home tonight without getting a run on Sunday. But it looks as if Sunday's race is going to be absolutely full of very exciting racing action, because some of those guys today, Terry Labonte ran very strongly all day, finished second in his heat, but boy, he's going to go well on Sunday.
Harry Gant with an outstanding performance as well. 40 cars now enjoined for this Sunday's Daytona 500. For our staff along pit road, Chris Economaki, Ned Jarrett, David Hobbs, I'm Ken Squire, and after this message, Al Troutwig will join you once again.
Buddy Baker once said that until you win the Daytona 500, you're just one of the boys on the Grand National Circuit. And so you can expect that the emotions of the drivers that raced here today was yanked back and forth and up and down. And maybe auto racing does that to your emotions more than any other sport. We were awed by the fact that Cale Yarborough was able to pull out in front of the field, and by the fact that the ground shakes under our feet as the cars roar past the grandstand. And we were terrified at the sight of seeing a man's life flash before our very eyes. And it just reminds us that these drivers are either very brave or very crazy. It's going to be exciting on Sunday, the Daytona 500, the 26th edition. And when they say, gentlemen, start your engines, CBS Sports will be there, beginning at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, high noon, at the Daytona International Speedway, Sunday on CBS Sports. And as the cars file out of the parking lot here, there are emotions, too, that one day they could race on the Daytona track. Well, they still can do that on the original Daytona track, the beach here at Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm Al Troutwig for everyone here in sunny Florida, saying good night. Today's coverage of the Daytona Twin 125s was brought to you by Mobil 1, the official oil of the 1984 Winter Olympian jeans, and by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?